Swaps the weaponry around, the players are low. A single bullet on either of them, it might be enough. It could be enough. The horn dropped, positioning gained. And now that the fuse stuck down to half, he knows where the opposition is. He's sticking it! What an insane play from Enzo! Ice cold!
So today we're going to take a look at one of, again, just the craziest games of Valorant I think we've seen in a while. This one, Fnatic versus Leviathan. It always seems to be Leviathan. They always go to crazy overtime games. But this one, Fnatic just about managed to scrape through, and they did so doing one of the most insane big balls clutches of all time that we will get to. But let's start with round number 24. We're just going to just add some context to that big clutch as well at the end, and how Fnatic got into the situation, because they were actually 12-11 up here, Leviathan on the attack and Fnatic on the defensive side. And in this crucial last round, what they're going to decide to do is do something that they do like to do sometimes, which is a shower crunch here. They're going to send a flash through the TP. They're just going to leave Alfia here, who has a judge on his own to guard this B site, whilst everyone else, you know, tries to get aggressive here. But as you can see, and we know now, Leviathan are actually going to do a quick B play, so they kind of, you know, get the best here that they could do, really, Leviathan, because what we're going to see here is we get these double smokes from the Astra here to allow Durka to run past. We got the Fade Horn that's going to land up. There goes the Sky Flash as well. They come into this area here, right, but actually no one's home. You know, no one's there, and so we end up in this spot. Now, whilst that's going on, Leviathan are entering onto the site, and they've got this Razor, and King looks around, he sees no one there, and he actually sends it towards Alfia, who you see goes down to 13 HP. Now, because this Razor has just killed no one, Adverso thinks, okay, literally no one must be here, right? We must be good. They've heard the TP, so, you know, they probably thought that, yeah, this is going to be an aggressive showers play after hearing that TP there. So, you know, he thinks that, oh, Razor in here, nothing killed, all clear, but actually it was not. But we get traded out, and we end up in this 4v4 quick retake. So, what we've got is we've got Sky Ult for Fnatic to use, and we have Brim Ult for the side of Leviathan. And so, knowing that information, right, you have Brim Ult, they have Sky Ult, they decide what they want to do is all retreat away from the site, you know, not get caught by the Sky Ult or these Prowlers or anything like that. So Fnatic start to come in onto the site, they send out the Sky Ult, and obviously it sees, yeah, no one is actually close on the site, so they all start coming in and they smoke off the spike as well. They start sending Util in, out comes the Brim Ult though. And we end up in this situation. So Brim Ult's gone now, and again we just see a bombardment and utility. The flash comes out from Mystic, which does hit Shy, but he's just about able to kill him beforehand. And then this is crucial, because Durka starts to get on the spike, but he is going to die to a spam. Good Fade Horn as well, but he's going to die to the spam before he can get half. That's going to be crucial, because we end up in a 2v2 after Enzo gets that kill, but the time now is really starting to tick, as you can see from Boaster there. And so Enzo gets this kill on Melsa. The problem is Boaster comes off the spike, and there actually isn't enough time now, and you see he doesn't get back onto the spike until way too late. He's trying to help Enzo get this last kill on Shy, but the problem is Enzo does get this last kill on Shy, but the time is too far gone, and actually they baited out the production team because they thought that Fnatic had won, but actually the Leviathan managed to win the round because the spike goes off. Now let's come to the first attacking side for Fnatic in overtime. And I wasn't really impressed with either side's attack, to be honest, in this game. It was quite a defensive game, but I think, honestly, that was because neither side attacked the map really that well. Both teams seemed kind of allergic to taking control of, like, both sides, you know, of each side of the map, right? Like taking showers and a short. You know, it was always, both teams were just like, we're just going to take one and then go and hope that's enough. And, you know, very often it wasn't. So it starts off with this boombot, right? And here's the thing that was kind of weird about this is Fnatic often do, as I'm sure that they're kind of known for, these Viper lineups from down here that come into this spot here that is specifically for this exact scenario. Okay, this lineup that comes into here is so that this Sky cannot shoot any dog or boombot or anything coming down here, so that no one can play in this corner. That is exactly what it is designed for, but for whatever reason in this round they decided not to do that, right? So the boombot goes off, the Sky is going to come out and destroy it for this chamber, and so now they don't know that Taco is here, right, with an op. And so at this moment in time when the round was going on, I said, okay, if they're going B, Taco has a kill for free. And that is exactly what is going to happen later on. But you're going to see exactly what I mean here, where they're going to take this hooker control here. They do some nice stuff, right? They recall this star, they're going to send some util in there, but then over here, it's just going to be Boaster walking up and hoping that he can find something, right? So they send a Prowler in, they get into Hooker, right? And they even get, you know, very close up and get to Dog, and they actually see that Melser is there. The problem is, Dirk is going to now, you know, send it in, but again, they have no control of this whatsoever, right? There's nothing here that they could even possibly do. So he's going to be sending it in, but this is just, it just got very predictable from Fnatic that, you know, if you see where the Sky and the Fade are, that's where that's where the primary part of their attack is always going to be. And the other side of the attack, you know, this second part of it isn't going to come for a very long time. So you can just fully focus on that one choke point if you want, if you are Leviathan, and that's what they do, because in comes Durka here. Yes, they know where Melser is, but, you know, you've got two people shooting at Durka, and now the others have to try and, you know, just get in as Durka's dead. Taco gets his free kill on Boaster, as I said, because he's just having to walk up on his own. You know, Mystic ends up in a spot where, again, he's looking two different directions. Actually, Alfir is going to manage to get 2 kills here. It turns out that this was whilst he was fully blind. You might be able to see it there. He just gets 2 from absolutely blind spamming, and that gets them in the round. And then Taco here is now, you know, with an op on the site. You know, he's in a bad situation, and they managed to get that kill as well. We end up in a 2v2, but the thing is, so much time has passed now that Adverso has managed to actually walk in onto the site and join in as well, long before Fnatic are ready for it, as they were trying to plant the spike, and they end up losing to Adverso there, who manages to find the last 2 kills. But this was a big problem for Fnatic, that a lot of their, you know, attacking side, they were just sending the Fade and the Sky together, and that meant that, yes, they got a lot of space in one area, but that meant that essentially the Leviathan could just focus pretty much all of their attention on that one area for a very long time. And Fnatic were often, you know, it was often, you know, a Boaster or maybe Alpha, you know, going in on their own, kind of blind with no real utility to help them, you know, ended up dying a lot in certain situations as well. And now let's come to Leviathan's attacking round, and this was, of course, to try and win the game. What it's going to start off with here is we get an early Sky Flash, and they're going to take early shower control with the Sky Dog. And the thing is, and again, I don't think Leviathan's attack in this map either was that great. And again, I think it came down to using their Sky Dog and Boombot a bit too, you know, loosely, in my opinion, because those are the only tools they have, you know, to try and you know, get good information of where people might be and push people off angles and all of that. And I felt like they used it a bit too loosely, and, you know, would use it and then just leave the space, right? And that's exactly what they're going to do here, and that means that you have to kind of contact walk into a lot of areas, and sometimes you'll get punished for it. In this round, they actually don't. But what we get then is a pause, right? And they do decide to eventually come back away. King uses the Boombot as well down here. You see the Prowler, though, sees that they aren't there, so they're already pretty confident. So off this Prowler, seeing that, okay, Skydog Boombot came out of here, but now no one's really pushed up there, Boaster decides to rotate, okay? Based off that Prowler's information. The Sky Flash actually doesn't see this chamber here, so you might think that's a bit of, you know, misinformation perhaps, but I think that they have the right read here, Fnatic, that the majority of this hit is going to come from Hooker, and that is exactly what comes out. So we see that the wall comes up, the execute starts to come in, we get a nice little Viper Molly as well, but a really nice flash there, and timing of this gives King the first kill, but Boaster does manage to trade it back. But they manage to get Mystic as they're dropping out of Hooker as well, and so we end up in this situation. Boaster gets 1, but Adverso trades it out, and we end up in a 3v2. They have to go and retrieve the spike. Adverso almost dies to this raise nade there, but they get control of the site, and this is a tough situation for Durka and Enzo, because you can see they don't really have any utility, and Durka also has an up, so really not an ideal situation for them to be in, right? They really don't have many tools to try and make this work, but they are going to make it work. Enzo in particular is going to make it work. So Durka baits out the first op shot, right? And then Taco is just going to miss that shot there, and Enzo manages to find the kill onto Adverso, but Melser finds Durka as well. So we're still in a 2v1. So we still, you know, should be okay for Leviathan. The time is obviously ticking down as well. But Enzo finds Taco, and now he's going to throw this Fade Horn, okay? And now, obviously, we know he's going to stick it from this point. Now, Fnatic, when they played Paper X, lost a 1v4. And Enzo was the last one in that 1v4, and we ended up in a very similar scenario where he threw a Fade Horn and it revealed where Mindfreak was, and then he went chasing after Mindfreak and lost that fight. And I think, had that not happened, I don't think he would stick this, because this is genius, right? Because he gets revealed by this Fade Horn, the Brim, what that means is, he's expecting that you're going to fight him, right? You know where he is. So he's thinking, well, he's going to fight me because he knows where I am. So by sticking here after getting revealed, I thought was just absolutely, it's so big brain. You know, because it's so unexpected. You know where they are, so why wouldn't you fight them when you know exactly where they are, right? So then you just stick it instead, because Melson knows he's coming at me. He knows where I am. And so it just made so much sense. And to actually have the balls to do it in that situation, elimination on the line. If he comes to you midway through that defuse, you are probably screwed, right? He's even 2 body shots, right? He's not even on full HP. You are screwed. But he did it anyway, and it worked for him, and I thought it was genius. And I think it's interesting to see how I do think that that situation against Mindfreak might have influenced this decision. And now let's come to round number 29. And this one was very, very interesting indeed, because, of course, Boaster has bought an attacking op on Astra. And you might think, what the hell is he doing? Why on earth would you ever do that? Does that make any sense whatsoever? But yes, for the way that Fnatic were attacking this map, it did make a lot of sense, and let me explain why. So Fnatic's A side hits, and I don't know why they do this. To me, it's not a good decision at all, and often it costs them rounds because they do this. But what they like to do to attack A is send 4 people down here with the Viper wall. They send the Fade, the Sky, the Raze, and sometimes the Viper, although sometimes Alpha does come back for a late lurk. But they generally send all 4 here and, you know, try and attack the A site through the Viper wall, and just leave Boaster to try and, you know, try and take showers on your own. And so what that ended up with, both against Paper X and Leviathan for their attack side, is Boaster would, you know, they'd start to progress towards the site, and then Boaster would finally be like, okay, now I need to try and get in here. Boaster would die, they wouldn't have showers control, the person in showers would then, you know, kill another person perhaps, you know, or this would be a big problem for Fnatic, and then they'd lose the round. This was a common occurrence, right? But the conditioning is there now that King wants to take this fight, because he's won this fight enough times against Boaster, because Boaster has no utility to really help him win in this fight, and he's just going in blind, basically, right? So that is a big problem for Boaster, and it was, but having an op, of course, changes everything. And this is why it was so kind of genius, because this fight just kept on happening for him. He kept losing, so what he does here is he's going to hide from this boombot, right? He gets tucked in this corner, hides from the boombot early, and now he can just hold the angle. And now he's in an advantage, because this is a very long angle, where he's just holding with an op. And so he gets a first kill for free, because King is so conditioned to just taking that fight, because he kept winning that fight, right? And now that you're playing against Leviathan, once they're in a 4v5, they are going to try and make a play, and you can see that they are ready for that as well. And again, having an op against Leviathan, I think is a good idea, because they are going to do this kind of stuff. Boaster actually misses the shot on Adverso there, but he manages to find the second one right there, and we end up in this situation where it's a 5v3 all of a sudden. Now, Melsa has come quick on the flank, but as I said, Fnatic were getting caught off by this kind of stuff, you know, when Leviathan were trying to make hero plays and whatnot early on in the series, but they kind of caught up to it by the end, and you can see that that is exactly what happens. Boaster hears this Sky drop from the shot there, and so he said in the interview afterwards, he thought, well, will this Sky, you know, flash peek out of this? I think about there, and you see that he predicts it perfectly, manages to get that kill, and Taco here, he's gonna, you know, miss a shot there, and Boaster, feeling himself right now, goes for the 4th and manages to get it as well. But actually, Leviathan would go on to tie the series again, and we'd end up here at round 31. And we're actually going to see what I was just talking about, where Boaster's just going to take a fight and lose it, because he has, you know, no help and he has no utility to take it. And we're going to see exactly what I said, you know, something that was happening so often, right? So you have the 4 Fnatic players, they're going to group up, they're going to go towards A, right? And you've got Boaster here who's going to put down the smokes. They go pretty quick. They send in a Prowler, they send in the Dog, they send in Durka, in they all go. You know, they start to come in onto the site. But then Boaster, now putting down his utility, has nothing less, has to just dry swing, swings into King, he dies. This, again, was a very common occurrence. And that's why having the op in the last round was, you know, quite a genius move, really. Because, you know, again, if you had an op here, you might get that kill again. But now we're going to see that Fnatic being, like, taking a page out of Leviathan's playbook, essentially, you know, in making more aggressive plays, particularly when you're down a player. And this is something, again, I think they were a bit timid early on at doing this. But what we're going to see is Durka is going to run through here. Okay, this is a risky thing. And if you're in an advantageous situation, I would say never do this. But in a 4v5, you know, this is the kind of stuff, especially with this flash that comes around there, is really nice, right? And they catch Adverso off, and they manage to get it to a 4v4. The thing is, we're going to get trades here. Ento's going to manage to find Taco up there in heaven with a nice shot from down here, but actually Mystic is going to die with the spike in the middle of the site. I actually think that the spike being in the middle of the site is going to get them another kill. Because as I said, what's going to happen is Althea has decided to wrap back around and try to do this late lurk showers. But now that the spike is here, King is solely focused on that, right? And he has no real consideration that this might be happening. And I think that that really is only the case because the spike is on site. Because this exact same scenario happened in a different OT round, where actually Taco was in this position. He killed Boaster. Alpha came around the back again, and he managed to, you know, he had the kind of awareness to realize that that might be the case, and he killed Alpha as well. And I think, you know, had the spike not been dropped here, King also might have had this awareness that someone might be coming behind him. But you see, he's completely focused on the spike, and so Alpha gets a free kill by that reflank. And now we end up in a 3v2. Enzo picks up the spike. They see where Shy is. They get the spike down. And although Melsa does manage to get Durka, and he's going to have a really nice try at this, Alpha's going to go big. He's going to manage to catch Shy off there on very low HP, and Melsa's now in a 2v1, obviously very difficult. He is very good at these situations, and he almost makes this work, as you will see, because what he's going to do is he's going to tap the spike. He actually gets hit by the Fade Seas, which again, I have no idea. From this point on, it should be unlosable, but still, he manages to make it work, right? He hears the footsteps of Althea coming towards him. He manages to get that kill. He knows where Enzo's repositioned already. If he doesn't run out of bullets, he wins the round, as Enzo's trying to run away there, but Enzo on 36 HP, because the right click kind of betrayed Melsa a bit there, he does manage to win the round just about for Fnatic. Now let's come to round number 32, the final round, and what we're going to see here again from Leviathan is a quick kind of almost fake, as it were, towards Hooker here as they send in the dog and the boombot. Again, sending both in there, it's not a decision that I would love personally, but they try and fast, quick pivot, right? And they did manage to drag out the rotations from Fnatic, but you see that the boombot just saw Taco there. Durka pushes him off the angle, but Durka's about to make a pretty big mistake, in my opinion, because what he's going to do is, as this Fade Haunt comes in here, he's now going to come swinging back out from Shower, right? And I think that that is honestly a pretty terrible mistake for him to make, because as long as he just lives in Shower, that is going to be a big problem, right? It would have been a massive problem for Leviathan, but because he dies there and gives up Shower, and now Taco can just walk in for free, you know, he creates a big problem for his team. They managed to get the spike down as well. Fnatic do try this nice little Seas Viper Molly combo. The problem is the Viper Molly just lands just before the Seas, and so Melsa is able to survive there. Otherwise, that would have been a big problem for them as the spike would have been dropped. But now we end up in this scenario, right, where we have Mystic on the flank. Again, if Durka lives here and is just like waiting for Taco and takes that fight, and if he wins that fight against Taco, this round was already over as long as he just stayed in Shower. Because, you know, I mean, imagine this is Durka instead of Taco, right? And you've got Mystic here. Mystic also wouldn't have needed to destroy the chamber trap. These guys are just absolutely screwed, right? You're being pressured from everywhere. I mean, you just can't look at that many angles. It would have already been round over. But Enzo does manage to find Shy there, just in kind of a long-range fight, and now we end up in this situation 4v3. And obviously we have Mystic on the flank, but they know about it, right? But they still do have the Shower control with Taco. What we're going to see here is they tap the spike. Taco pushes out of Shower. He manages to get one, but gets traded by Alpha, as you see there. We end up in this situation. Adverso comes back behind, pushes through lamps as well, manages to find Alpha as he's dropping down, but they manage to kill Melsa. We end up in a 2v1, but they don't know where Adverso is, because they think Adverso is going to wrap around the back, you know, after killing Alpha from heaven. So they think he's going to do this, right? They think he's going to do that, but actually he's come back this way, and he completely catches Mystic off guard as well in the chaos of the moment. He gets a free kill there, but Enzo swings out on him and manages to get that kill right there, and Fnatic would go on to win the game, and Enzo, you know, came up absolutely clutch for them when they needed him most. An absolutely absurd game, crazy close. I mean, Leviathan, I can't wait to see them at Champs, because I think that they showcased that they were not a team to be taken lightly at all. They are one of the most clutch teams I think I've ever seen, and they're just a lot of fun. But for Fnatic, they survived this game, is what I would say.